Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life.
And Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello, class. Professor Sunreis here, and welcome to the new format, which is already kind of bad because Hive has not been banned. But it is what it is. I'm here to talk to you about my first impressions of the format and the decklist I'm using to grind a Dueling Book ladder. Overall, I would say the meta, at least for now, feels quite healthy. I haven't played against a lot of degenerate stuff. Of course, there are Scythe locks running around, not even just PK, Brave PK, but also like Cyber's Eldritch, who's just Scythe lock you and stuff like that. So you're just gonna lose a few games here and there, but I feel like this is just Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about my list, my reasoning behind that, and how it performed. This is the list I've been using to grind, and it's been going pretty well. My main reason for playing a version like this without Enforcer, without Scythe, is just playing less bricks. I thought, okay, I'm gonna play a lot. I don't want to run into like a session where I brick 2 times in a row or 3 times in a row and I just get tilted because I just wanted to keep playing. So that was the main reason of why I built a deck like this. And secondly, this deck just builds an insane board as well. It ends on double Fogblade, Evil Swarm, Nightmare, and an Omni Negate. So that's 5 disruptions already. And if I have one extender, or if the Fogblade gets into the grave because I put it like on a normal summon and then link it off, I get a pop as well. So that's in theory 6 disruptions. An Omni Negate, 2 books, Evil Swarm, Nightmare is actually insane this format. He's been really overperforming. And then the 2 Fogblades, so even if we get drop setted for 3 or Dark Ruler, we still have 2 disruptions and insane follow-up, of course, because we're playing PKs. So yeah, overall the deck has been overperforming. I'm just gonna go card by card and give a quick thought about every deck. It's definitely not finished yet. Like I said, no, I didn't say that. I haven't played against Eldritch yet, so I don't know if this deck can perform against Eldritch well. It's not really too prepared for that, but I feel like the Eldritch matchup is so bad for this deck that it's not really worth it to commit a lot to it. And Dueling Book, this is of course for Dueling Book. Dueling Book meta is always different than just like tournament play, and I would definitely place a little different list if I would be on a regional or something like that. So, of course, for the Brave Engine, with the 3 Aquamancer, 3 Ride, 1 Foolish. So these are the 7 starters. I definitely like the 3 Ride because it's just a card which we can use to play under Lancia. So this is like the card which hurts the deck the most. So I really feel like playing 3 of this is correct. 3 Aquamans, of course, the most broken card in the deck. I feel like this card just does everything for the deck. Just free discard fodder, free extender, an Omni Negate on board, everything. Foolish Burial, of course, still very strong, just being so versatile. Of course, you play the Griffin Rider and the Adventure. I don't play the Draco back in the main deck. It kind of hurts not having the free discard, but the deck can definitely still play without it because we don't run too many bricks. We just have the Faithful Adventure, which does nothing in hand. So usually we will have a card which we can discard. The problem is when you have 2 bricks in your hand. So even if we draw Fateful Adventure, we can still play. But the thing is, if you draw 2 bricks or like 2 cards which don't extend the game plan, are just like engine requirements, stuff like that, this is where you start to get a problem, and where the Draco back would be really good just for a free discard. But because we're not playing so many bricks, only just 1 real true brick, we have so fine, and we can save the main deck space for better cards, more impactful cards, and less bricky cards, of course. Brave Engine has been really overperforming, and it's so broken even without the Draco back in main, and a lot of times I didn't even cite the Draco back. It's just something I wanted to test out, and I bricked on it so hard I didn't feel like citing it, but it's just so strong against Floodgate, so I really want to keep playing it. Overall, the Brave Engine has been really overperforming. Not just having an Omni Negate on the end board, which is of course huge, but just having the amount of pressure you get of having 2k attack beat 6 in a simplified game state came up a lot. Of just pressuring your opponents and putting them on a 2-turn clock with just 1 card is so amazing. For the PKs, the engine hasn't changed at all. I guess we don't play the Brigadine, but that's just because we don't play Enforcer, and we can't really use the Brigadine body as well. I tested the deck without the wing, and you definitely need the wing, so this trap ratio is never gonna change. I thought about maybe playing a 5th trap, just for grind reasons, but I've been grinding quite well with this deck even without the trap, so I feel like I wouldn't change that. Yeah, this is pretty basic, not much to talk about there. The Emergency Teleport package, I'm definitely playing that. These are just the best extenders you can play, as they don't make you lose 2. There can only be 1. Kagamucha Knight being a dark does come up sometimes. I tested Kagamucha Knight at 1 in this list as well. But overall, I don't feel like it's worth it to play a warrior extender, just because you just lose, so there can only be 1 that way. Being a dark comes up not quite often. It's only if you have like a starter plus double extender, where you can use the dark body to go into Rusty with, like Chirovini and like Kagamucha Knight go into Rusty. But other than that, it doesn't matter at all. And I'd rather have the cards which actually are very good with Droplet, and are just non-warrior, so I can play around. There can only be 1 better. Talking about droplets, good thing we are playing 40 cards, because I drew droplets a lot, and droplets is actually just insane right now. I mean, it's always insane, of course. But playing 40 cards just gives me the best chances of seeing droplet and actually getting into the game going second. All of the other cards don't really do a lot going second. I mean, Talents is fine, or like a combination of 2 cards is good. But just drawing a droplet going second made me go into the game every time. So I'm really back on the 40 card train. Fuck everything more than 40 cards, am I right, guys? So yeah, and that's another really good benefit of not playing the amount of bricks. I feel like I can comfortably play 40 again, because we're not playing as many bricks. So I can see droplet more, and I can get into the game going second even better. More defensive cards, 3 Ash. I tested 2 Ash for a while and had the 1 Kagamucha Knight. I didn't really like the Kagamucha Knight. I cited it out a lot, and so I feel like I just played the 3 Ash in the main deck instead, because it's just so versatile against the early established meta, which is not established at all if you think about it. Just having a card which is basically always alive just feels really good. 2 Ogre. Brave Engine is everywhere. Ogre is the best card against the Brave Engine, because they can actually play around an Ash if they hard draw Griffin Rider. It always feels bad to hit them Ash on like either Aquamans, and then you okay, what if they have Rider in hand, and then you go on Fatal Adventure. But what if they have Griffin Rider in hand? Of course, it's only a one-off, so you will almost always Ash the the Adventure, but it just feels bad, and Ogre just clears the engine very clean. So that's a good card. It also has good applications against Flunder. A lot of decks, like Needle Fiber combos, where they go into Deskpot or Auroradon for like a way in the normal summon. Ogre hits those as well, because they can't really go into Auroradon anymore once you hit it with an Ogre. The Needle Fiber, of course. So Ogre has been performing good. I started this out a lot, and I'm thinking on maybe just cutting it completely, go for a Nip, because Nip trades 1-for-1 with the Brave Engine as well. But that's something I should test out. For the rest of defensive cards, we just play 2 Talents, 1 Caught By. Caught By just being a Lancia out and outing Enforcer, and overall being really good. A really good card. I feel like this card has been doing quite okay, and it's especially good because we can just set it going first, and it's a disruption the engine doesn't have access to, so your opponent is not gonna play around it. At least it's very unlikely he's going to play around that. So that's a really good plus. And Talents, it can be kind of bricky going first, but my end board is strong enough where I don't need the 1 defensive card which is in my hand to be like alive. I can just use it as a discard, or just keep it in case we get nipped, Ash, Ogre, Veiler, stuff like that. With Ogre and Veiler being in the meta more, Talents is going to be alive even more. Going first. And going second, it's basically always alive, and it's just really strong. Though sadly we don't have Anaconda, so Talents is a little worse because you cannot steal with like the 1 remaining monster you have going to Anaconda. So you sometimes have to go for a draw and hopefully draw something good. But it's still an amazing card, and I feel like it performed quite well for me. And for the extra deck, as you can see, I'm playing the F-Zero package again. So 2 Break Swords, of course, 2 Lydia for the F-Zero play, because thanks to Aquaman, so we will always have 2 banished in the grave at all times, basically. So the line is always alive. And F-Zero has been overperforming quite hard. It's so strong against back row decks in a simplified game state. By the way, this is not something we end on. This is like our boss monster for turn 3. In a simplified game state, he's so hard to out, just having an Omni Monster Negate Steal, having Destruction Protection, so you can't even run over it with an access code. It's just insane what this card does, and has been really overperforming. And is for me a good replacement for the Enforcer package. Of course, it trades extra deck slots, for the main deck slots, but Enforcer package also takes quite a few extra deck slots, so it's not like you lose a lot. You just lose, I think, 1 or 2 depending on the Enforcer package you play. But then having 2 less bricks in the main deck feels so strong, and this card is amazing. The Livia line gives you so many resources back. You end on, in a simplified game state, basically a towers plus all the follow-up you want for the next turn to go for access code for game. Really strong card. Highly recommend you guys test out a version like this without the bricks. It's been overperforming, just like Evil Swarm Nightmare. This card is also insane. Of course, it can miss timing, but for me, it hasn't been that bad, especially playing against more roguish decks and stuff like Prank Hits. Evil Swarm Nightmare has been going really good, especially against Prank Hits. I play, there he has been overperforming immensely. Zeus and Downerd, of course, still basic. You should always play them in PK just to go second. For links, Cherubini, of course, mandatory. Rusty with it for combo, mandatory as well. Unicorn, Phoenix. Phoenix has been quite good as well, just as a generic link 2 with a decently high attack in a simplified game set, can come up to run over hand traps. But also just a generic link to get a discard and to play into boards. So the reason I feel like Phoenix is good on this deck is because our deck doesn't have a lot against Eldritch, so at least we have this one card against Eldritch. Of course, it doesn't out of skill drain, but it's still at least something which we can go into to start to crack a board to make our Eldritch matchup just slightly better. And Phoenix has been doing great for that. It's also very good to hit the Fateful Adventure in a simplified game state to get them off the Brave Engine grind, because once you're out that, the engine is basically dead, apart from being an extender and discard fodder. But it loses a lot of its tempo, so that's pretty good. Unicorn Masquerena, that's something we can end on. So the one end board is Brave Engine plus Evil Swarm Nightmare and the Fog Blades, but I could also end on F-Zero plus Masquerena. That's a weird end board. I don't really like going for that, but it's something I have to do if I'm playing against stuff like Flunder, Eldritch, where we can then use, in the end phase, if they set 5, we can use Draco back to pop 1 and then Unicorn to shuffle 1 back, so we actually only have to play through 3 back row. So that's pretty good, and also just a generic Darkling 2. Doesn't really come up a lot in this list, but it can come up with talents to go into Masquerena to steal a non-dark and turn it into a dark, basically, and to go into Rusty. And lastly, 1 access code. Haven't thought about maybe playing a Borothon, but I feel like playing the Unicorn package or just playing Unicorn in general makes it so that access code is just way more attractive. And with the token and Wandering Griffin Rider, we have so much more access to high attack values. The access code is more than enough attack to go for game, especially in a meta where everyone is playing Anaconda and Enforcer, and the base life points basically are at 6k. Access code is just enough to go for game. For the side deck, I've been really happy with the side deck. I'd say the Lancers haven't been doing good because I haven't played against PK, but I mean, I'm fine with not playing against PK. So yeah, 3 Judgment for going first, of course. They've been doing good, and they're also very good to side against back row decks, just like the Lightning Storm, so I'm going to put them here. But Lightning Storm have been overperforming, I would say. Sided them in a lot, especially because we play a deck which can just win game 1. With the opponent just scooping because they can't break the board. Siding in Lightning Storm blindly just helps immensely. And this is also the best card to side against Eldritch, as I don't feel comfortable running Evenlies, as we would just hard lose to Lancia in that case. 3 Alpha, I'm not too sure about this card. I really like it. It does wonders against Sword Soul and a lot of decks, but it's very situational. But the situation it comes up is pretty good, and it could also be very good against all sort of random rogue decks and like bad combo decks, like, I don't know, Mermails, Speedroids have played against those. This is the card like Alpha really shines because he just trades against bad combo boards so well. So it's really good for, especially in early DB meta, to play this. Depending on the format, I'm not too sure if I want to keep them. My theory behind them was that Alpha plus Brave Engine is actually quite good to break a Scythe lock, because we can play with Brave and Alpha under it. So that's basically at least something to play with. And maybe with a hand trip or 2, we can actually have an engine which plays under Scythe lock. So that's quite okay. So Alpha has been doing good, I would say. 2 Nips. I decided to play 2 Nib and not 3, just because of space reasons. I was playing a 3rd Nib for the Draco back, but a lot of times I didn't even side in 3 Nibs. So I feel like just playing the 2 is fine. 3 Lancers, haven't sided them in once, I feel like, because I didn't just play against the decks. But Phantom, I thought it would be everywhere, so I thought 3 Lancers on the side should be mandatory. I even thought about playing 3 in the main because I was scared of PK, but I decided against that, and I thought, okay, if I lose the Dyro, I would just lose anyways. So I don't care about that. And then the 1 Draco bag, not too sure about it in the side. It does have a lot of value going second, and it's a very accessible card going second. So I feel like it's smart to side. But I just tested it for 2 or 3 games. I hard drew it every time together with Fatal Adventure. So I just got tilted off it and throw it out, and haven't tested with it that much anymore. But in theory, this card is very good in the siding, and I think a lot of people are starting to side it because it's just not mandatory in the main deck, and just having 1 less brick is always a good thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, that's basically it for the list. I've been really enjoying it. You should definitely try this. Don't play the bricks, guys. F0 is broken. The endboard is strong enough. The follow-up is just the same. You don't have to draw 2, but then again, you don't really draw into a lot of impactful cards anyways. If you think about it, most of the time it's just discard fodder, and thanks to the Aquamancer engine and the Livia, you will always have access to discards in turn 3, turn 4, whatever. Yeah, stay tuned for the channel. I'm going to soon test Brave Virtual World because I'm not too sure about Phantom Knights anymore. They're very strong, of course, but I'm just not feeling the vibe. So I'm going to test Brave Virtual World, trying to break that deck and to solve it, as I feel like the online resources for the deck haven't really been that good. If you take a look at the DB Grinder matches, they all misplayed basically. I don't know about the Decklist, I can't talk about that, but they misplayed badly. Like, I just started playing the deck virtually, where it's quite complicated, and even I saw the misplays they did, so it is what it is. Like and subscribe, stay tuned for the channel. You guys are dismissed. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.
Hello guys, it's me, Thunder Dragon Colossus. You should definitely subscribe to Professor Sunreis on YouTube, as he's by far the best competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Content creator on the platform. Feel free to search for him, I'm going to allow it. Have a good one.